See what happens. I'm positive, yes, don't worry. So we all need blocks tonight. Yeah, 2 blocks. Nicole, have you got 2? Yeah. Okay, oh, you've got a block there. Are they same size? I'll give you 2 like that, just in case you want to use 2 the same. Debs, you won't need them because you're standing up. TV. Oh. Okay, so good evening, everybody. It's lovely to see you all. Very warm welcome to everybody. Welcome back, Nicole. So this evening we're gonna go back to the basics of yoga, which is a class theme that I do perhaps once a year or so, just to kind of remind us what we're all doing here. I don't mean that in the kind of existential question, but I mean, what are we all doing here to practice yoga? What is yoga? Okay. So yoga comes from the Sanskrit word. So Sanskrit is the ancient language of India. The Sanskrit word yug, and it means connection or union. So connection between the mind and body, and also the universe and the soul. So in Vedic or Indian philosophy, the universe or universal consciousness is called Brahman, and the soul, our little individual piece of it, is called Atman. Okay, and I'd like to show you this evening mudra, which is a gesture in yoga. Mudras tend to be done with the hands, and one that you might have seen before, perhaps practiced before, is Gyan mudra. Okay, so this is when we touch the first finger and the thumb together, and this symbolizes this union between the Brahman and the Atman, or the universe and the soul. So we might explore using Gyan mudra in our practice today. And it's also said to help facilitate the flow of energy or prana coming down through the arm and then looping back up to the body again. So this union between the mind and body, how do we achieve this state of yoga? Well, it's really quite simple. We pay our attention with our mind to our body, okay? So it's the same practice as mindfulness, which is paying attention to the present moment, and we do so with our body. And often in yoga, we can find ourselves getting quite focused or fixated on the physical practice and the shapes that we want our body to get into. And it can kind of draw us away sometimes of what the actual practice of yoga is, and that is to be present with ourselves and to be present with a quality of awareness which is loving and kind and non-judgmental. And this is really when the magic can happen in yoga. So we're going to start off today with a short mindfulness meditation, and then we'll do our breathwork practice. Today we're going to do Samavriti. So Sama means same, Vriti means breath. So Samavriti is very simple. We make the inhale and the exhale the same length. So I'll count it for you. And what this does is it creates coherence in our heart space by balancing the inhale and the exhale. And the inhale is associated with our sympathetic branch of the nervous system, or our masculine energy. And the parasympathetic the exhale is associated with the parasympathetic, or the feminine energy. So it has this really nice regulating and balancing effect on the nervous system. And then we'll move into our physical or our asana practice today, and we'll be really focusing on the movement as a meditation. So really paying attention to the sensations of the movement, not only in the poses, but also in the transition from one pose to the next. And I might deconstruct some of the poses a little bit more today to guide us into a way of sort of exploring our body in these poses. But I want to remind you that in this type of yoga, this gentle somatic yoga that we do here, that we're really seeking to make yoga work for our bodies instead of making our bodies work for yoga. So I always encourage the importance of really listening to our bodies, paying attention and adapting when we need to. Okay, there's a lovely quote from the Buddha that came to mind when I was preparing this, which is when he gave his Dharma talks, and he said, "Take what you need and leave the rest." And I think that's a really nice approach with yoga as well. So do take what you need tonight, and the rest of it, just leave it. Okay. So if you'd like to choose your starting position for the meditation and the breath work, you can do this either sitting up or lying down, so whatever feels more comfortable for you. And letting your body settle into whatever position that you've chosen. And let's take a moment to really allow ourselves to arrive here, into this time and into this space. So could you let everything that has happened today stay in the past? And let anything that is still yet to happen wait for you in the future. So that you give yourself permission to be really fully present with your experience in this moment. And I invite you to allow your awareness to be open, just to notice anything coming into your experience. You might notice sounds, perhaps from your body, around your body, perhaps from further away. You might notice smells, perhaps the scent in the air. You might notice some taste in your mouth, perhaps sensations in the mouth. You might find your teeth with your tongue. You might notice the position in which your body has chosen to lie down in. Bless you. You might notice its shape and size and volume, your posture. You might notice if you're feeling particularly comfortable or uncomfortable in any way. You might notice thoughts that are around. Maybe feelings or emotions too. And see if you can notice whatever it is you're noticing with an attitude of open awareness. Just accepting things as they are, not trying to change them. And then could you narrow your attention down onto your breathing? Noticing the movement of the breath in your body. Noticing this gentle rise and fall of the inhale and the exhale. Really paying attention to the sensations of the breath in your body. And if your mind does wander off, that's okay. Just noticing that happening and then gently guiding your way back to your breath again. Back to this gentle wave-like movement of the breath in your body. And when you're ready, could you expand your awareness from the narrow focus of your breathing out into the wider focus of your whole body and your breath. So getting a sense of the whole volume and shape and size of your body and the whole space that you take up. You might imagine or visualize that you're breathing into your whole body, that your body is a hollow vessel and you're filling it up with breath. Breathing into all corners of your body as you get a sense of really being in your whole breathing, living body. And we'll transition from here into our breathwork practice, or samavriti, or same breath. So you might like to explore bringing a hand or two hands onto your torso, perhaps onto your tummy or onto your chest or ribs. And then when you're ready, we'll breathe in for 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 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 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. And then releasing that. Returning back to your natural rhythm and pace of breath. And just being curious to notice how you're feeling in yourself now. Being open to notice any shifts in your mind and your body. Just noting or noticing the effects of the meditation and the breath work on your being. And then when you're ready, I invite you to bring both hands to your heart center, one on top of the other. And here we'll create an intention for our practice. So if you'd like to go with the theme of today, you might like to use the words, I lovingly pay attention to my body. I lovingly pay attention to my body. Or any other words that speak to you this evening. Sealing your intention into your heart. And as we prepare to move into the movement part of the practice, remembering that in yoga, your body is your responsibility, so do listen to your body. In fact, you should listen to it more than you listen to me. And there's never any need to push through any pain or discomfort. And you can always come back to rest at any time that you need to. So when you're ready, if you'd like to bring your arms alongside your body, with your palms facing downwards, and if you've got your legs out long, then bending at the knees to bring the soles of the feet to the ground. And just taking a moment to feel the texture of the earth beneath your hands and your feet, really letting those sensations ground you into this moment. And then as you inhale, sweeping your arms all the way up overhead. And exhaling back alongside your body. Continuing with your own breath. You might like to invite that samavriti back in, so equalizing the length of the inhale and the exhale. And really paying attention to the movements the sensations in your body. And at the top of the next inhale, we'll pause here to engage the lower belly and then hug the knees into the body, wrapping the arms either around the shins or perhaps underneath the thighs, and then gently rocking from side to side. And you might explore taking your attention now to the back of your body to get curious about the sensations in your back as you shift your weight from side to side. And when you're ready, coming to settle in the center and then guiding your feet back down to the ground. So keeping your feet about hip distance apart and nestling them in so that they're fairly close up towards your bottom. And we're going to come into some little mini dynamic bridges here. So we want to keep our thighs parallel to each other so that our knees aren't either knocking in or splaying outwards. And then with the arms alongside the body and the palms facing downwards, as we inhale, we're going to push through the feet and the hands to lift the hips. And as we exhale, we're going to roll back down the spine, placing the hips on the ground. So inhaling to lift, and remembering we're just at the beginning of our practice here, just warming up, so we don't have to push too hard into making big shapes. Just going as far as is comfortable, exhaling to roll back down the spine. You can either stay here with your dynamic bridges, or if you want to add that same arm movement in, we can do that on the inhale. Take the hips up, the arms up, exhale to roll back down again. Let's take a few more like this, or as many as your body wants to take. And on your next one, coming all the way back down, and then go ahead and hug your knees back in once again, letting your spine round, gently rocking side to side. And then coming to settle in the middle, and if you've got your hands on your shins, I invite you to bring them around the back of your thighs instead here. And then taking the feet up towards the sky, so lengthening the legs. You don't have to straighten the legs, so you can keep a bend in the knees. And then pulling the toes down towards the body as we push the heels away. So coming into our first hamstring stretch. You might be meeting some sensations down the back of the legs here. So could you imagine that you're sending your breath into the back of the legs, meeting the sensations with that loving awareness and with the breath. Let's take 3 more breaths here. So from here, we're going to come into some leg raises, so a bit of core work, and there's a few variations depending on how gentle or strong you'd like it to be. So making sure that you keep your back as flat as you can down against the ground. In fact, you might even just explore flattening your back against the ground and notice how that encourages the core to engage. Once you've got that core engagement, bringing both hands around the back of the right thigh. And then as we exhale, we're either going to bend the left knee and bring the foot to the floor like this, and then inhale back up. Or we're going to keep that leg straight and lower it down on the exhale, and then inhale back up. Okay, swapping over to the other side. Exhale to lower. Inhale to come back up. Good. So you can either keep taking the hands from side to side to support the leg that's in the upward position, or if you'd like a slightly stronger practice, bring your arms out at shoulder height. So always using the exhales to lower. Keep pressing that lower back down into the ground, flattening the spine, keeping the core engaged. Let's do one more on each side. And bringing the legs back up to center, and either staying here if you want to try a double leg lower, going down on the exhale as far as you can or as far as you want to, and then inhaling back up. Hug your knees back into your body. This time taking your knees out wide and then gently rocking from side to side. So you can release that now. That's most of our core work for this evening. You might like to take some deeper breaths here, perhaps in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then bringing the knees back together, guiding the feet back down to the ground, and then choosing a side to roll off to, and finding your way into your fetal position. So coming onto the side of your body and taking a moment to tuck yourself up, hug yourself in. You might wrap your arms around your body, might give yourself a cuddle, might gently stroke your sides with your hands if that feels comforting. Just taking this time to have a tender moment of kindness with yourself. Perhaps remembering the intention, I lovingly pay attention to my body. You might imagine in this moment that your body is bathing in a bath of your loving attention. And then when you're ready, we'll slowly find our way up to sitting. Moving at your own pace, and we'll meet in any sitting position. So you might have your legs crossed or perhaps out long or out wide, whichever way you've chosen to sit, making sure your sit bones can be grounded down onto the floor. And I invite you to bring your hands in front of your heart, palm to palm, into our Anjali Mudra, or our prayer pose. Just for a moment, could you push the hands into each other? Okay. Feel the activation in your arms and keep pushing until the back activates as well. Finding some length in the spine. And just for a moment, bringing tension into the whole upper body. So keep pushing, keep squeezing, keep sitting up tall. Take a deep breath here. And as you exhale, relax it all down. Lovely. So keeping that length in the spine, but letting the shoulders relax and melt down. We're going to start warming up our neck here. So as you inhale, could you look out over the left shoulder? Exhale back to center. Inhale over the right. Exhale back to center. So we're going to continue to go side to side like this. And the invitation, if you want to, is to let your eyes get involved with the yoga as well. So as you look left, could you see just how far behind you can see? And as you look right, do the same thing over the right side. So really letting your gaze travel all the way around your body. Our eyes are very much linked to our nervous system and the way that we feel, and so by taking side to side movements with our eyes, it can have a very calming effect on the nervous system. When you come over to the left side, I invite you to pause here, and we're going to stay here for a few moments. And again, taking your gaze as far as you can behind you, noticing what the furthest object you can see all the way around to the left is. And could you keep your eyes on that point? So keep fixing your gaze on that point. You might notice your eyes beginning to get tired. We're just going to pause here and pay attention to our breath, okay? And at some point you might notice your breath wanting to deepen, just taking a deeper breath. And when that happens, allow it. Take that deeper breath, and then when you're ready, sighing it out as you gently find your way back to center. So just waiting for that deeper breath. When it comes, allowing it and sighing it back as you come to center. And then let's take it over to the other side, and again taking your gaze all the way behind you. You might start to notice a feeling of calm and relaxation coming over you. And that's because this exercise is activating our vagus nerve, which is the primary component of our parasympathetic nervous system. So looking out for that deeper breath. When it comes, it's going with it like a wave. And sighing back to center whenever that is for you. Good. Just taking a moment to re-center yourself back in the middle. And we'll come through our shoulder rolls here. So do feel free to change your position. If you need to bring your body some more comfort, that's absolutely fine. And when you're ready, inhaling the shoulders forwards and up. And then exhaling back and down. Continuing with your breath. You might want to close down your eyes. You might keep them open. You might like to explore your Gyan Mudra. This is where we bring the forefingers and the thumb to touch. You might like to explore opening your mouth and having a sigh or a yawn on the exhale. Really giving permission to your shoulders to let go of anything they've been holding on to. And then maybe exploring the other way. So inhaling back and up. Exhaling forwards and down. And letting your shoulders settle down in the middle there. And I invite you now to bring your hands back to our prayer pose, back to Anjali Mudra. From here, as we inhale, we're going to take the hands and the arms all the way up to the sky, looking up. Exhale to part the arms, float them down the sides. At the bottom of the exhale, kiss the ground with the fingertips, flip the palms and inhale up. Exhale back to the heart. Beautiful. Let's do this 2 more times. So really using the movement as our meditation here. Paying our full attention to where our body is in space. Paying our full attention to the sensations. And always moving deliberately and consciously. Almost like we're dragging our arms through some thick liquid or honey. Moving our arms through the presence that's already here. It's already all around us. And relaxing the hands down. So if you've not already done so, I invite you to bring your legs out long. And we might just pause for a moment to give our legs a shake, a pat, a wobble, perhaps to just wake up the circulation a little bit and give them some love. And just make sure your strap is within reaching distance. Oh yes, of course. So, thanks, Catherine. Oh, sorry, ladies. There we go. So we're going to come into our stork pose or Dandasana. So with our legs out long, just making sure our sit bones are down on the ground. We want to keep our legs active, so toes pulling up towards the body. And we can keep a little micro bend in the knees here so we don't have to overextend through the legs. And then bringing the arms alongside the body as a support for the spine, okay? So for some of us, we might go down onto the palms of the hands, or we might come up onto fingertips or knuckles. It just depends how long our arms are compared to our bodies. And then engaging the core, so pulling the belly button back towards the spine and lifting the chest. The chin is tucked in and the neck is long. This is our Dandasana, or our stork pose. So we've got a few things going on in this pose. I'll just turn to the side so you can all see there. So let's take 5 breaths here in our stork pose. So really paying attention to how you're feeling in your body. Noticing if there's anything coming up in your mind. Perhaps noticing if there's anything that can be let go of. Is there anything that needs space? And then keeping the legs and the body where it is, we're going to inhale the arms up to the sky, reaching up. And as we exhale, we're going to hinge at the hips to dive forward with the heart to come into our forward fold. So we've got a few options here. We can bring the hands down to either side of the legs, or perhaps resting onto the legs, or maybe bringing the strap around the ball of the feet. Now in our forward fold poses, if we can let go of the idea of getting our heads down towards our knees or our feet, we might be able to explore a different quality of the pose. So instead of thinking about getting the heads down like this, imagine that you're drawing your heart forwards, okay? And this way we can maintain the integrity of the spine, so that line from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. And if you do notice that you start to round through the spine, then just easing off a little bit so that you can draw your heart forwards and through. And we can use the breath to help us into the pose. So as we inhale, we lengthen through the spine. And as we exhale, we can pull the belly back towards the spine and soften into the pose. So let's take 4 breaths here. Perhaps breathing into the back of the legs if there are strong sensations there. Perhaps letting go of any idea of what this pose should look like. Noticing how it feels in your body and then adjusting to your body's needs. Do we need to ease off a bit? Do we need to take the hands a little bit wider to give more space for the heart to come through? Do we need to let the knees bend a little bit more? So really creating that space for your body. And then when you're ready to come out, we can place the strap back down and walk the hands back, lifting the body, returning back to a neutral spine. And from here, we can find our way into our tabletop position. So coming down onto hands and knees, or if you're not going on your knees tonight, then I invite you to stand up, and I'm going to show you some different adaptations where we can stand up and use a chair. So if anyone else wants to stand up this evening, just give me a wave and I'll get you a chair. Okay, so coming into tabletop, so stacking wrists underneath the knees, no, the wrists underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. And we're going to start off coming into a hamstring stretch here. So I invite you to bring the left leg all the way out long behind you. So coming onto the toes of that left leg. and then pushing the heel away from you. And again, breathing into the back of that left leg. Option to stay still, or you might like to gently pulse. So inhaling to come forwards over the toes, exhaling to go back. I'll just show you how we can do this standing up with the chair. So coming into a mini lunge, using the chair to support us, and then pushing back into that back heel. Good. And again, perhaps pulsing, inhaling forwards, exhaling back. Good. So on the next inhale, I invite you to lift that left leg up, squeezing the glutes. And we're going to pulse here. We're going to take 5 pulses. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As you exhale, round the knee towards the chest. Inhale to take it back out to that hamstring stretch. And then come onto the inside of that back foot. So roll onto the inside. And we're going to do the same with the toes facing out to the side. So this is going to engage a different part of our bottom, the gluteus medius. So when you're ready, inhale that leg up. And then pulsing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, bring that left knee to the left elbow. And then placing it back down again. Good. So let's go through on the other side. I'll just switch my way around here, and just in case you hadn't got there already, if you're standing up, we can do this exactly the same. So pulsing this way and then bringing the knee to the chest, or pulsing out to the side and bringing the knee to the elbow. Okay. Good. So which way are we now? We're out with the right leg all the way back, coming onto the toes. Good. So starting off with that hamstring stretch, really pushing that heel away from the body, breathing into the back of the leg, either staying in stillness or we can rock. So inhale to come forwards over the toes and the wrists, exhale back into the heel. On the next inhale, we're going to lift that right leg up, and then we're going to take 5 pulses. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bringing that knee towards the chest, round through the spine, and then come back to your hamstring stretch. Good. Coming onto the inside of that right foot, the toes pointing out to the side. When you're ready, inhale that right leg up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Crunch that knee in towards the right elbow, and then place it back down again. Good. If you want to take a rest, find your way down into your child's pose. If you're standing, you might come into a standing forward fold. Let's just take a moment to let our bodies rest in whatever resting pose feels good for you. And if you're in child's pose, perhaps bringing the earth up towards you with a cushion or a block. And then when you're ready, on an inhale, finding your way back up to your tabletop. And from here, we'll come through our cat-cows. So remembering, if you need to take your weight off of your wrists at all as we do these, we can come down onto our forearms, or perhaps up onto our knuckles. So when you're ready, as we inhale, I invite you to tip your pelvis back, drop your belly down, reach your heart forwards and look up. And as you exhale, tip your pelvis forwards, round through the spine and look back. So continuing with your own breath, you might choose to close down your eyes, or you might not. If you're standing up, we can still do our cat-cows this way. exhaling to round, inhaling to arch. And seeing if we give ourselves permission to really pay attention to what these movements and poses feel like from the inside. So letting go of what they might look like and really paying attention to the sensations inside our body. And then when you're ready, we can start inviting some sideways movement, perhaps welcoming a wag of the hips, maybe circling the hips or drawing figures of 8 with the body. Just moving in whatever way your body wants to move. You're standing, perhaps moving the chest from side to side, the hips. Just getting really curious about how your body wants to move this evening. And then finding your way back into your tabletop. And if you're standing up this evening, then standing just in front of your chair like that, great. We're going to take a step forward with the right foot. So bringing the right foot up in between the hands or up onto the chair, great. And you can use the side of the chair for support. So let's just drop the hips down, lift the chest up, coming into our runner's lunge. You might like to explore using blocks in this pose. So bringing hands onto blocks here can just feel a bit more spacious in our body. You okay there, Maz? You got them? Yeah. So that can be another nice little adaptation to help our body feel supported here. Good. So keeping the heart lifted, perhaps looking up. We're going to transition into our low lunge here. So I invite you first of all to bring both hands onto that front thigh and then push through the thigh to lift the body and the hips until our hips are in line with that left knee. Okay, we're going to do it a little bit differently today. I invite you to explore bringing your right hand around the back and popping it onto your sacrum. We'll just turn to the side so you can all see the bottom of your spine, and we might have the back of the hand facing the back, or we might have the palm of the hand facing the back. So this can help support our body, help our lower back feel supported, and also encourage the very important movement of tucking the tailbone under. Okay, so when we tuck the tailbone under, we get the core engagement, and we also get that lengthening in the front left hip flexor there. Okay, and keeping that right hand where it is, then inhale that left arm up to the sky. Good. So perhaps looking up if that feels good. And if you're on your chair, it looks just exactly the same. All the same cues. So tucking that tailbone under. And you should be meeting some sensations in the front of the left hip. So breathing into those sensations. Let's take 3 more breaths here. On the next exhale, I invite you to slowly lower that left hand. We might find it comes down onto a block. And then start shifting the hips backwards to find that hamstring stretch in that front right leg, perhaps coming up onto the toes. We might bring the other hand down onto a block here for support. So coming into our half split pose. Good. And absolutely we can do the same on the chair, coming into the pose like this. Breathing into the back of that right leg. Let's take 2 more breaths here. On the next inhale, we're going to rock forwards back up into our low lunge. Take both hands up to the sky. And then exhale to frame that front foot back to our runner's lunge. And then step or slide that front foot all the way back. Find your way back into child's pose. So bringing your upper body, your head down, or bring the earth up towards you. Perhaps resting on a block or a cushion. Taking a moment to let the body rest before we come through on the other side. And then when you're ready, using an inhale to come back up to your tabletop. And this time we're going to step forward with our left foot, bringing the left foot in between the hands. Perhaps bringing our hands onto blocks, if that feels supportive. Finding our way into our runner's lunge, keeping the heart lifted, perhaps looking up. Let's take 3 breaths here. And then when you're ready, bringing both hands onto that front thigh and pushing into the thigh to bring the upper body up and the hip over that back knee. And then bringing the left hand onto the sternum, either the back of the hand or the palm of the hand. And then encouraging the tailbone to tuck under, finding that length in the front right hip. And then take that right arm up to the sky, so lengthening all the way down the right side of the body. Let's take our 3 breaths here. Really breathing into the right side of the body, perhaps looking up. One more inhale. And then exhale to slowly lower that right hand. Perhaps it comes down onto a block. Then bring the left hand forwards too and start shifting the hips back to finding your way into that half splits, perhaps lifting the toes. You might use blocks, you might not. Breathing into the back of that left leg. Let's take 3 breaths here. Good. On the next inhale, rock your way forwards, back up to your low lunge. Exhale to come forwards and frame that front foot. And then step or slide that left foot all the way to the back. And you might like to explore here, bringing your knees out wide and then sinking into a wide-legged child's pose. So letting your body sink down towards the earth. And taking this moment to really check in with your body. Check in with your breath, noticing its pace, depth, rhythm. Checking in with the temperature of your body. Perhaps even noticing your circulation, your heartbeat. Noticing the sensations in your hips. Remembering to meet whatever you notice with this quality of open, loving awareness. Letting this closeness to the earth be a signal that it's time for our bodies to slow down, to cool down, And then when you're ready to slowly rise up again, on an inhale, walking your hands back towards your body. And we'll find our way all the way onto our bottoms and bring our legs out in front. So keeping the knees bent with the soles of the feet on the ground. Put those to the side. And then we can recline back onto the support of our arms here. So it might feel comfortable to have the fingers facing away from the body or perhaps facing towards the body. And we're going to start window wiping the knees here side to side. So exhaling to the sides, inhaling to center, exhaling to the sides, inhaling to center. And you might explore changing the position of your feet, so perhaps bringing them in closer to your bottom, or perhaps taking them a little bit further away. It might feel nice to have the feet closer together, or perhaps further apart. So really exploring your body, getting curious about your range of movement here. And really just meeting our bodies where they're at tonight. We might keep moving side to side, and we might choose to pause on one side for a few breaths, letting gravity and our exhale give permission to our body to sink perhaps a little bit more to the ground. And coming over to the other side if you're pausing. And coming back to center. So if you'd like to bring your feet a little bit further together now, and then sitting up, and we'll find our way onto our backs. If you want to join me to roll down the spine, and bringing the arms out in front, the palms facing upwards. Take an inhale to lift the chest and look up. As you exhale, very slowly rolling your way down the spine, one vertebrae after another, until you get all the way down to the earth. And from here you can go ahead and hug your knees in. Perhaps gently rocking side to side. And you might like to take some deeper breaths here, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just letting the body let go of any residual tension that it's been holding on to for you. And then pausing in the middle, and we'll come into a supine twist from here. So we'll start off keeping the right knee hugged in, so taking both hands onto the right shin, and then guiding the left leg all the way down to the ground. And then keeping the left hand on the right shin, could you bring the right arm out at shoulder height, palm facing upwards? And then as you exhale, guide that right knee across the body towards the left side. Good. So just going as far as feels comfortable for your body. We don't need to force ourselves into a shape here, but just trusting that our body knows the way. Noticing your right shoulder, if it's hovering up off of the earth, and just easing off a little bit, bringing that back down to the earth. And if it feels good, you might want to look out over the right arm. Let's take another 3 breaths here. When you're ready to come out, using an inhale and the left hand to help guide that knee back to center, and we'll cross over. So hug the left knee in with the right hand, bring the right leg all the way out long. Perhaps bringing the left arm out at shoulder height, palms facing upwards. And then use an exhale to guide that left knee over the body to the right side. And again, just going as far as is comfortable. Being compassionate to our body, that our two sides are not always the same. You might notice a different shape that your body finds its way into on this side. Maybe looking out over that left shoulder. And when you're ready to come out, using an inhale and the right hand to guide that knee back to center. And just taking a moment to re-centralize the spine and pelvis, perhaps pushing the feet into the ground, lifting the pelvis about an inch and placing it back down again. And from here, we'll hug the knees back in, this time taking them out wide. And reaching through to take hold of the shins or the ankles or the outside edges of the feet. Finding your way into your happy baby pose. So you might want to keep your feet down low, or you might want to take them up towards the sky. You might want to stay in stillness or gently rock side to side. Really tuning into your body, perhaps closing down your eyes. Just asking your body what it needs today to help your practice feel complete. It might be gently exploring lengthening the legs or circling the ankles, or anything else that your body feels that it needs. And as we prepare to come down into our final resting pose of Shavasana, if there are any other stretches or movements or shapes that your body wants, then do give your body what it needs before finding your way down for Shavasana. Now, if you want to come into a traditional Shavasana, you might like to bring your legs out long, your feet a little wider than hip distance apart, and your toes relaxing out to the sides. Arms alongside the body, palms facing upwards. Or if it feels better on your back to have your knees bent or one knee bent, if that brings some support to your lower back. Perhaps having your hands on your torso, or any other way that you want to lie in Shavasana, do please make this your own, because this is your special time to really let your body and your mind relax. So you've done all the work now. There's nothing left for you to do. This is the time for your body to soak up all of the benefits of the practice. So could you trust that you're in a safe space, a place where you're supported and held in the loving arms of the earth. And could you trust that you are exactly where you are supposed to be right now? So there's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go. And could you trust that you are exactly as you are supposed to be right now? There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to change or alter. And could you welcome yourself just as you are in this moment? And could you welcome a sense of peaceful wholeness in yourself? Fully accepting, not trying to be anything or anyone other than you. When you're ready, you can start inviting some energy back into your body by taking some deeper breaths. And start inviting some movement back in by wiggling your fingers and your toes, maybe circling your wrists and your ankles. You might like to take your arms up overhead, having a stretch, maybe a sigh, maybe a yawn. Gently waking our bodies back up again. And then when you're ready, you could bend either one knee or both knees and roll off back into your fetal position once again. And just taking a moment here to be grateful for yourself for showing up to your practice. A moment in thankfulness for your body for carrying you through this practice and through this day. And then when you're ready, we'll slowly find our way back up to sitting, where we'll close the practice together. There's no rush, moving at your own pace. We'll meet in any sitting position. When you're ready, I invite you to bring both hands to your heart center, one on top of the other. Remembering that intention that you began your practice with, and deciding if you're going to leave that here, or if you're going to take that with you as being helpful for the rest of your evening, and perhaps even the rest of your week. And then bringing your palms together in front of your heart for a moment of gratitude for our practice of yoga. And then rubbing the hands together to create some heat and energy. And taking your hands up to your face, your palms on your cheeks, your fingers over your eyes. And then gently blinking your eyes open, letting the light back in and relaxing the hands down. So thank you all very much for coming to practice together this evening. From my heart to yours, namaste.